Namaste, yogis. Thank you for visiting my channel. My name is Angeline, and we will be doing a yin yoga practice today. All we need for props, maybe a couple blocks, a blanket to use if you like to have support for your hips, and if you need water nearby. Yin does not generate a lot of heat. You may actually want an extra layer of clothing, maybe a long sleeve shirt or something. But it's always nice to have water around just in case you need it. And our practice today is going to be focusing on the stomach and spleen meridian, which is also connected to the root chakra. This is our area where we feel support, stability, just having a connection to our purpose, a sense of just belonging. And also for a physical aspect, we're going to focus on working with stomach issues. So feeling bloated, maybe some upset, gassiness, things like that. So if you're having any of those issues, this practice is for you. We are going to go ahead and start in a simple cross-leg seated position. We're going to be here a couple minutes. We'll just do 2 minutes in our meditation. Here's where we want to really engage with our breathing, taking a deep inhale in through our nose. We want to fill our belly up, then the chest. As the chest completes its filling, you want to lift the collarbones. And then as everything is completely full, you're going to exhale through the nose as well, dropping those collarbones first, then emptying the chest, then the belly. We'll just do this a couple times. In our yin practice, there's 3 principles that we want to keep in mind. We want to come to our appropriate edge in each asana, which means you're going to set up to where you just start to feel sensation in your body. You don't want to push past that feeling of any sensation. You want to go to where you're just starting to feel it. And then we want to find stillness in that pose. So a place where you're just able to allow yourself to sit without too many thoughts crossing your mind or too many thoughts about if this is how you should or shouldn't be in the pose. And then the last principle is going to be just resigning to hold that pose for the amount of time we choose. Most of our poses today are going to be anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. Go ahead and open your eyes, and we're going to come into our first asana. So if you were sitting on your blanket, you can move that out of the way. We're going to be in this asana for just 1 minute. So you want to take the toes and tuck them, and I like to slide the foot back so the knees are under the hips, and then you're going to sit back onto those toes. If you need to reach back behind you to really bring the pinky toes forward, please feel free to do that. Now if you can't sit back onto your feet, you can lean forward just a bit, and you still want to feel a pressing through your feet. You're stretching that plantar fascia. Again, in yin, those are the tissues that we're focusing on, our connective tissues. So that's going to be tendons, ligaments, and the fascia. I've read many books for many different reasons, for energy work, for shiatsu, for yin yoga. We're going to come forward, tap those toes, Tap the tops of the feet, and then we're going to flatten our feet and sit back. And one of the things that I keep coming across is how the fascia, when we give it a nice stretch, it helps bring the meridians closer to the surface of the skin. In a way, it sort of opens those energy pathways. In our yin yoga practice, we want to be with the asana and just allow ourselves to breathe through that pose for the time that we decided to hold it, and then allow any sensations to come up and just sit with those sensations without trying to change anything, without trying to think why or how or what is causing this. Just be with what is. Okay, our next asana is going to be a camel pose. Now, camel pose, you can sit back, bring your hands back, and then press your hips up, or if you come up onto your knees, feet are back behind you, you can take your hands. I like to take the thumbs out, pointing out on the lateral aspect of our body. The fingers are pointing down the glutes, and then we're just going to press that hip forward, really helping to open and stretch the stomach meridian and the spleen. The spleen meridian is associated with unreasonable worry. That's an emotional component of it. The stomach, it helps with any mental issues. Depression, anxiety, pensiveness. So you want to drop the head back towards your feet, pressing those hands into the sacrum, the low back, letting the hips come forward. Nice deep inhale. Rinse everything out. I'm going to bring that head back forward. We're just going to sit back on our heels, and we're going to come into a closed leg child's pose for just a few breaths. Go ahead and stack those fists and take a few breaths here. So we took about 5 breaths. Felt really good. We're going to come onto our back. You might need to move your blanket out a little bit more out of your way. We're going to lay on our left side. You can bring that arm up under your head. We're going to take the left leg, bend that knee, grab the foot in that right hand, bring that left leg back. That top right leg can either go out straight or bent. And then you want to lay back onto your back Shifting on to, we're going to do, I'm trying to remember, 3 minutes here. So you just can take that left arm out into a T shape, bringing that left leg back, bringing that foot towards the glute, letting that top leg either bend and drop towards the floor, or you can keep it straight. You want both of your shoulder blades to be on the floor. And then focus on your breath. Bringing oxygen into your body to help affect the flow of blood in your body, which will in turn affect the quality of chi that goes to your cells, as well as the blood that carries the nutrients and oxygen. One of the interesting things is with the stomach, if you ever notice when you have a lot of stress going on, or if you're worrying a lot, or any kind of disturbance in your psyche and your mental state, it seems to always affect the stomach. And I've heard the stomach being, we're going to come out of this pose before I go on. So you're going to release that bottom leg. So you're releasing the hold on your left leg, and you're going to roll over onto your back nice and slow. We're just going to take a few breaths here. Bring those knees together, walk the feet wide. Just for the sake of the camera, I'm going to switch the ends that I'm on. You can just roll onto your other side. I'm going to bring that right arm out. Take the right knee, bend it, grab that right foot, bring that right leg back. Keep that left leg either bent or straight. And you want to roll back on to both shoulder blades. And you can look over that left shoulder if you want, or you can keep your head straight up towards the ceiling. So again, we're using that breath to focus into the asana, to feel the sensations that we're feeling in our body. And again, just allowing ourselves to have an awareness of what's going on, not necessarily to do anything about it, but just to be aware of what is. We're going to release from that pose by letting go of that hold on the right leg. Straighten it out, and you're rolling over onto your back. We're just going to have a few breaths here. And then let's roll over to our right side. We're going to push ourselves up. And then we're going to grab our blanket if you need it. If you don't need your blanket, don't worry about it. So I just like to use the blanket to kind of help give me a pelvic tilt. We're going to come into our butterfly. Let's take a few breaths here. So we're going to bring the bottoms of our feet together. Your legs are going to come out into a diamond shape. Now you can bring your feet closer to your pubic bone if you want. You might feel that more on the inside. If you take it out further, you're going to feel it more on the outside of the top of the leg, and maybe out a little bit more on the outer edge. Take a nice deep inhale. Release everything out. We're going to lean over to the left. Take this right leg. You might need to move the blanket out of the way just a bit. You want to bring the right leg back as far as you can. We want to get a nice stretch on the front of this thigh. That's going to affect the stomach and the spleen meridian. We're going to be here 3 minutes. You want to, if you need to, bring a block over to assist to kind of push you back to the center. Go ahead and do that. Or you can just be on your little cupcake fingers. We're going to be here 3 minutes. And I will finish with what I was going to say about the stomach. We have a lot going on mentally. It affects our stomach, and I've read a few places that the stomach is also considered like a second mind. If you ever hear the phrase like that gut feeling, so it's another place for intuition. So I do feel the stomach is one of those places where our emotional state really kind of shows up physically. So if you have a lot going on that you are not processing or dealing with, or unable to kind of let go, you will know by the condition of your stomach health. And at any time, if you feel like your body is opening or releasing more, you can bring that leg back a little further. Or if you feel like you went too far, go ahead and bring it up a little bit. Make sure your torso is as centered as possible. I like to sometimes have a mantra for my practice, and a mantra for today's practice would be I trust the process of life. And when you say that, allow yourself to feel what that feels like. We're going to come out of our pose here. We're going to lean back over to the left, unwrap that leg, bringing the foot back to the right or to the left foot. You can flap your butterfly wings here a little bit. And we're going to lean to the right, and now we'll take that left leg back. Again, bringing that leg back as far as you can, just to where you start to feel sensation. You don't want to overdo it. And again, use that block to prop yourself up, bringing the torso back to the center. Taking those nice deep inhales through the nose, filling up your belly, filling up the chest, lifting the collarbones, and then releasing everything out. Again, allowing yourself to feel what is going on in your body without judging it, without cause for alarm. You don't want to start to feel something and think, oh, what does this mean? Is this or is this that? Just know that when you are moving your body, and especially when we hold a shape for a while, there's going to be a sensation. The yin works in that very way. When we hold the pose, we're creating a stress in the joints, which is where the tendons and ligaments live. The fascia wraps around all of our muscles. Basically, it's this big sheet of, I would kind of call it a second skin, in the sense that it is throughout the whole entire body. The idea is like there's information, signals that are sent through this structure that allows us to know how, basically, like if something's going on in our foot, through that tissue, we will have a response somewhere else in the body, and it will either harden, stiffen, shift in a way that kind of helps with whatever's going on there. So the more you can stretch this whole structure, so the more you're stretching your whole entire body, the more you're kind of resetting the baseline, the beginning point, for lack of a better word. I can't think of a great way of describing that. And when we hold the postures for a minute or longer, that's creating a stress. And so our body will respond to that stress. And in that response, it will help condition the tissue. It helps strengthen it, help mobilize it, making it more flexible, hydrating it. Basically, giving it what it needs so it can do what it needs to do. But if we don't create that stress, the body kind of sends its healing energy, if you would, to places that is really needed. Like we're always, the heart, the brain, the spine, those are breathing, being able to breathe. Those are things that are like up there on a priority list that we need. So our body's always going to want to heal the more important places. So you have to use your body in a healthy, safe way that helps it to know that like we still need this to be repaired as well. So usually when I say that, I'm speaking of joints and whatnot. Now, if you have arthritis or an injury that is preventing you from going into a pose today, honor that. You know, you work with it until you can go into that pose. We are going to come into dragon pose. So we're going to start off like we did with our camel pose. We're going to take the right leg, step it forward. You want to create that 90-degree angle. Here you can take your right hand on top of that right thigh. And actually, before we do that, let's take both hands to the floor. Tuck the toes on that back leg, lift that knee up, take it back, drop it, and then pull it forward so you're more on top of the knee and not on the patella. And then take the right hand onto the right thigh, left hand on top of the right, and then we're just gonna lunge forward, kind of keeping the knee over the ankle if you can. You can go forward just a bit. You just don't want to take the knee past that middle toe on the right foot. I started working out and doing some stomach exercises. I have been having some cramping going on. I had a surgery that caused some of the muscles to be affected in my abdomen, and so there's some like numbness, like where nerves were injured, and when I work out I can't feel it while I'm working out, but afterwards, just like with any exercise program, you feel, some soreness. It typically turns into like a major cramp. So that is why I made this practice today, because definitely helps. We're going to come back into a child's pose. Now you can keep your knees on the blanket or take them off. You can take them behind, set them on your heels. The blanket, if you want to take the blanket and put it on your heels so you can sit back on it, you can do that. We're just going to come into a child's pose for a couple breaths. Up, and we're gonna set up for the second side. So you're coming up as if you're going into a camel pose. We're gonna walk that left knee forward. Again, you want that 90-degree angle. Let's take that right knee, lift it, take it back, and then pull it forward. And then we're just going to flatten that foot back out if you want it flat, the right foot. Take the left hand on the left thigh, and we're just going to lunge forward. Again, breathing in through the nose, filling up the belly, the chest, lifting the collarbones, and exhale everything out. legs straight for a moment. Bring it back. We're going to come back into that closed knee child's pose. Just take a few breaths here. And now you want to come down into a Sphinx. So here, I'm going to use my blanket and I'm going to bring it right under the hips. We're going to bring our elbows underneath our shoulders. We're going to be here 2 minutes. You can bring those hands together if you want. Pinkies are pressing into the mat. You want to lift the head towards the ceiling. The chest is going forward and through the arms. To bring the elbows out to the side, bring the head onto the back of your hands, and let's rock the hips left to right. I'm going to press up into a tabletop pose. Now you can use your blanket if you want, or your blocks here. We're going to come into swan. So you want to have your wrist under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. Let's slide that right knee to the right wrist. Bring that right foot towards the left wrist. I would just have the shin in about a 45-degree angle. You don't want it right at 90 unless you have really healthy hips. If you do, then go ahead and do that. Here you can use your blocks or your blanket. You can lay the blanket long ways under the left thigh, or you could take your block and set it underneath the right glute. Here I'm going to come up onto the cupcake fingers for a moment. I might actually take this under the left leg since we're working on the stomach meridian. See if I can just get a little bit more pressure there to kind of work into that meridian. We're going to come up, bringing our head towards the ceiling as much as we can. Drop those shoulders down. to roll onto that right hip. Slide that left blanket out if you have it. We're just gonna bring that right leg back. And we're gonna come into a downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, hands are out forward in front of you, and we're going to lift the hips up towards the ceiling. You can keep those knees bent until you feel like you have a nice handle and where you're at in the asana. And then we're just gonna walk our dog here. Get a nice stretch in the back of the legs. Pressing through the palms. Lifting the hips towards the ceiling. We're gonna come back into our tabletop and set up for the second side. So we're gonna slide that left knee to the left wrist. Take that left ankle towards the right. We're gonna take the blanket and lay it right underneath that right leg. Coming up onto our cupcake fingers. We're just gonna sit here for 3 minutes. And as your body opens and releases, you can let that right leg scoot back a little bit more. Make sure your shoulders are not in your ears. So you want to feel those shoulder blades drop down your back. The head's lifting towards the ceiling. And let's remember to keep our awareness on our breath. Over to that left hip, slide out that blanket. We're going to slide that left leg back, bring those hands forward, and we're going to step into our downward facing dog. Tuck those toes, push up through the hips, keep the knees bent if you want. We're just going to walk out the dog here a couple times. And we're going to come down onto our backs, and we're going to come into our last asana before our shavasana. come into a nice twist. Let's take those knees into our chest, hug them in a little bit, rock our backs across the floor, giving ourselves a nice back massage. Let's go ahead and take our feet into our hands for a happy baby pose here. So bring those knees together again, feet flex. We're going to take our arms out into a T and then drop your knees over to the right. Lift your head and look over that left shoulder. We're going to release the hold on the outside of that left knee. Bring your head to center, engage your core, bringing the knees up through the middle. We're going to drop those feet down, walk them wide, drop the knees toward one another. We're just going to take a few breaths here. Let's set up for our second side. So again, we're just going to hug those knees into our chest. Do a little back massage, rocking the hips or the knees left to right. You want to grab your feet into your hands, and then we're going to press the feet into the hands while we bring the shoulder blades towards the floor. Get a nice little stretch on the inside of the legs, pressing that low back into the floor, giving yourself a little massage here. And then we're going to release our hands, bring the knees back together, bringing the knees to the chest. You're going to open your arms out into that T shape, dropping the knees over to the left. You're going to lift your head and look over to the right. Remembering to breathe in and out through the nose. Release the hold on the outside of the right knee. Bring it back to the center. Gauge your core. Bring the knees back up. Drop the feet down. Bring the knees together. Walk those feet wide. We're just going to take a few breaths here. Let's go ahead and stretch our feet out to the corners of our mat to come into our Shavasana. Gently walk those shoulder blades down and toward one another. You can lift your head here, look at your feet, and then lay it back if you need some length in your neck. We're just going to be here about 3 minutes. Unless you have longer, then you're more than welcome to stay a little longer. Maybe one more time, repeat your mantra for the practice. I trust the process of life. Let yourself fall back into the support of the floor. Feel the energy moving through your body, up and down the legs, on the top and in the middle a bit, coming up into the abdomen, to the chest. You want to take your hands and place your palms over your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Do that here now. Release your hands back down to your side. Just allow yourself to relax into your Shavasana. Feel all the sensations in your body. Continuing to release any and all tension that may be trying to linger. Remembering to breathe in through the nose, filling up the belly, the chest, lifting the collarbones, and then exhaling, reversing the pattern. First you want to release the collarbones, then chest, then belly. As we come closer to the end of our practice, let's go ahead and take a nice deep inhale. And let's go ahead and exhale everything out with a sigh. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring your feet together, your arms up overhead and together. Take a nice deep inhale, elongate through the whole length of your spine. Take one more inhale, and then as you exhale, we're going to roll over to the left side. Take a few breaths here. Slowly push yourself back up into a seated position. on top of your knees. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale everything out through the mouth. One more time, a nice deep inhale. Exhale everything out through the mouth with a sigh. One last time, dropping your hands to the floor. Inhale, lifting them up overhead, bringing the palms together as you look up at your hands. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of your face, in front of your heart. Peace and namaste. Thank you for joining me today, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I would also like for any comments, if you want to share this with people, if you have recommendations, or if you have requests. I am here to serve and to help you in your journey with Yin Yoga, and it would be my honor if you were to allow me to do that. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.